Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to this session. So I think Imo, we can start the session now, and in the meanwhile, folks can join. So I hope you are ready. Hello. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this session on deploy and use Azure Container Registry. We have with us Imo, who is a senior solution architect at IT Horizon Group, and he is also a Microsoft Azure MVP and Microsoft certified trainer. He will be guiding us about this concept of deploy and use Azure Container Registry. So welcome to this session. Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are joining, and uh, welcome everyone.
Hi everyone. I think we can commence the section now. I believe we are set. We have about let's say 6 people in attendance. I believe more people will still join. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so
Okay.
do remind your friends about this session so that if you so that they can also join if someone is joining little late and yeah, to try to join the session on time. It's like we have to
Okay.
wait for folks to join. Yeah, so welcome Imo, welcome to this session, and uh, and I think we can start the session. Meanwhile, folks are joining, so they
Oh,
will join.
sorry. Maybe I'm not
And
supposed to share my screen yet, right? Let me allow you to share your screen. Let me stop. Then you can share your screen.
yeah, I think you were able to share it. We could see your
Yes,
screen.
I'm able to share screen. Okay, so when you are ready for me to start, let me know. So I'm here.
Yeah, I think we can start now. In the
Okay.
meanwhile, people will join the meeting. So
Okay.
let's not wait for too much. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this session on deploy and use Azure Container Registry. We have with us Imo, who is a senior solution architect at IT Horizon Group, and he is also a Microsoft Azure MVP and Microsoft certified trainer. So welcome, Imo. Thank you for taking your time in guiding us today about this concept, and we look forward to have a great learning experience today.
Thank you for having me, Charla, and I'm glad to be here. Hi everybody. Thank you for joining this section today. And I believe you can all hear me. First of all, I bring greetings from the Nigerian tech communities, most particularly from the Nigerian Azure community. So I bring greetings to everybody, wherever you're joining us from. This is still morning in my own country, 11 minutes past 11 in my country, Nigeria. So wherever you're joining us, if it's good evening, good morning, let's endeavor to pay attention to the section. And I believe you're going to get a very great experience out of it. So now, moving further, the topic we are going to speak on is deploy and use Azure Container Registry. And now, before I move on, maybe to the technical part, to the deeper technical part, I would like to understand our understanding level and maybe experience level. Are we all beginners? Are we mid? Is it a mixture of a professional level, an intermediate level, or a beginner level? So in as much as I may not really know that now, I'm going to make the section to be as easy as possible to ensure that everybody can understand it. But bear in mind that this is actually a technical section. No matter how simpler I will make it, there's still going to be technical terminologies that I will use. So now let's go further to look at the agenda that we have for today. If you look at the screen very well, we have some of the interesting agenda that speak to what is Azure Container Registry. We are going to look at the SCR use cases. If you see me use the acronym SCR, it stands for Azure Container Registry. And we are going to discuss some use cases of the SCR. We are also going to be looking at Docker file because when we are building our image, we are going to be using Docker file to build it. We need the Docker file, so I need to explain the context of Docker file and the various components to your own understanding, and that will enable you to use that in the future. So moving further, we have a lot of demos to do. In fact, from line 4 down is demo. So we're going to look at how we can create a container registry with a CLI. We are going to also look at that's Azure CLI. Azure CLI is a command line interface that you use to interact with your Microsoft Azure environment. So we also have we're going to look at how you can also go to the portal to create it. We're also going to look at how you can pull image from official Microsoft repository, tag that same image, then push it to our existing container registry. We are going to also enable anonymous access, anonymous pool access to the for the image in ACR. We are going to also see how we can pull that same image anonymously without logging into our ACR and build it locally with Docker and then clean up our resources. So let's get into the lesson proper. Now, the container registry, when it comes to when they say container registry, at first, what comes to our mind? How is container registry different from Docker? Those are some of the questions that I'm sure most of you will have been asking. What is then, if I'm to use container registry, why do I need to use Docker? So these are some of the questions you will likely ask me today, at the end of the day. So a container registry, Azure Container Registry to be precise, is actually a private registry. It is private in the sense that it is owned by Microsoft. It is not an open source tool like the Docker Hub that we know. We all know of Docker Hub and Docker Registry as a public repository, image repository, where you can just pick the image and pull it into your local system and then build from it, build and run an app from it. So in this case, Azure Container Registry is a private registry service for you that enables you to build, store, and manage container images and other related artifacts. Now, you might also have, because Microsoft Azure has a component called a Azure Container Registry. No, it has a component called a Azure Container Instance. So now you might also ask, what is then the difference between Azure Container Registry and Azure Container Instance? So in this case, just as based on what I just explained now, you understand the fact that Azure Container Registry is a simply private repository where you can build and store, then manage your images, your Docker images, or other artifacts. Now, for you to be able to run these Docker images, that is when you need Azure Container Instance. So Azure Container, while you store your images in a private repository called Azure Container Registry, you use Azure Container Instance on the other way around to run this image, to containerize these applications into what you can run what you can deploy as an app without actually managing the underlying infrastructure. So it is purely a managed container solution as compared to Docker. Now you can further expand the similarities or the differentiation between the differences between Azure Container Instance and Azure Container Registry, then Docker and Docker Hub or Docker Registry. So just the same way we have Docker Hub to be a place where we store images publicly. We store images to be available for everybody to use publicly. That is for storing images. Then Docker is also a containerized solution that you can use to run your Docker images. So the four solutions I mentioned now, it's based on individual comparison. You can compare them based on what you want to do. Firstly, you need to understand that Azure Container Registry is a private repository. It offers you that privacy. Why company goes for it adopted the Azure Container Registry is because of the security of its images pushed to Azure Container Registry remain private. to the organization. So it therefore helps company to safeguard against vulnerabilities in terms of when you're pulling public images that you're not sure of. So company use it securely to store their images. So if you want to deploy your image now, that is when Microsoft Azure has a solution called Azure Container Instance, which is similar to Docker. But Docker is open source. For Azure Container Instance, you are not responsible for managing the underlying infrastructure. Microsoft Azure takes care of all those things for you. While in Docker, you are responsible for managing your infrastructure yourself. Then for Docker Registry is a public place where we store our images, then deploy it using Docker container, which is an open source. So those are the similarities and differences. All of them still boil down to the fact that we want to modernize our application. We want to containerize our application. So that's what they do. But the fact remains that Azure Container Registry, which is our main focus, is a private service provided to you and I by Microsoft Azure to enable you to store your images and manage them, then use it to build a Docker image. So moving further, if you have any question, please feel free to call my attention. Now, what are some of the use cases when it comes to Azure Container Registry? We all just based on the explanation I made, which we have been able to make us to understand the meaning of Docker. So Docker is an open source platform that helps us to simplify the way we developed and deploy our application, then manage this application using containerization. Then containers are like lightweight, standalone, and something that can be executed, in which include you can package all your application code, runtime and libraries, then system tools into one image, and then deploy it as a container. So now, in this case, we all know that when you can pull images from Azure Container Registry to various deployment targets. You can deploy it to a scalable orchestration systems that manage containerized application across clusters of hosts. One of the containerized orchestration tool is the Kubernetes. We understand that Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration platform that you can use to make the deployment, scaling, and management of containerized application. Kubernetes is becoming very popular and widely adopted for managing containerized application in various industries, various environments. So another one, with Azure Container Registry, you're able to also deploy it to another open source platform for managing containers called Data Center Operating System, normally abbreviated as DCOS. DCOS is an open source platform for managing containers and other applications in a data center or cloud environment. So you can further also deploy it to a large-scale Docker environment known as the Docker Swarm. Docker Swarm is a native clustering and orchestration tool. It is used to, when you have a lot of containers, when you need to deploy multiple containers, and you can use that. So it can also function most time as Kubernetes, but though it's still limited when compared to Kubernetes. So within Azure services that are supported by ACR, you can also use ACR to work with Azure Kubernetes Service. Azure Kubernetes Service, in this case, is a managed instance of Kubernetes. Microsoft Azure takes care of all the underlying infrastructure, managing all the various components of the open source Kubernetes, and then we are able to just use it. So you can also use it to deploy an app to app service. You can deploy a batch service on Microsoft and also use it to deploy the latest Microsoft Service Fabric. So these are the various use cases for Azure Kubernetes that you can use. We can use to, okay, is there any question? We are getting to the demo section, please. We are getting this is just an explanation for you to understand it first. You need to understand the concept. So now we have having explained this, let us move to Dockerfile. Now, Dockerfile is that file that you use to execute it's like a set of instruction or a script that contains instruction, which allows us to create an image that we can use to run as containers. So it has a lot of components that help us to understand how we can build our image and all that. Then the purpose is to serve, it provides a way to define the environment, software, and configuration needed for your application to run. The resulting Docker image encapsulates everything required to run the application, ensuring consistency and portability. Now, there are various components of Dockerfile, which we are going to discuss in the next slide. So now we have a lot of components of Dockerfile, and they are known as the instruction. These are referred to as instructions. These instructions are what Docker the Dockerfile will use to build your image or to Dockerize your image. So let's go to explore the various Dockerfile components that are available to us. Now we have the from command. They are normally written as in capital letters, so you must take note. So we have the from command. This from command simply define where the best image is coming from, the best image from which to build. You can build from Python, you can build from Ubuntu image, you can build from maybe Node.js or anyone that you wish to choose from. There are many of the images out there in the public repository, that is the Docker pub. So you can also, so the from command simply specify the best image through which we are using it to build our container or build our image. Now we have the work directory. Working directory, normally abbreviated as work dir. It sets the working directory inside the container. This defines where your app component, like the code, is installed, is stored. So it points you directly to where your file, your application file is. So that is what the work directory does. So now we also have the copy or the add instruction. The purpose for copy or add instruction maybe is to copy files or directories from the host machine into the image file system. So copy is typically used for copying files, and add can also handle extracting maybe like the tar files, all those zip files. So the add command the add instruction can help us extract it and make it available for deployment or for you to build your image from now. So we also have the run command. So what the run command does is the execution command inside the container. During the build process, this is the command that actually is used to install software packages and other dependencies that your applications is required to run. So we also have the CMD environment. The CMD instruction, which simply gives us the default command to run when your container is started. For instance, once I start my container, what is the default command that will run it? So that is simply defined at the CMD instruction. So we also have the environment variable or the environment instruction. This one simply sets your environment. It sets the environment variables inside the container. This variable can then be used by application running in that container. Then the entry point, which is one of the, I think is one of the instruction that usually get people confused with the CMD. They serve different purposes. So entry point simply will set the command that will always be executed when the container starts. The other one, remember, the other one executes only the default command, while the entry point will always set the command that will be executed when the container starts. So it is often defined as the main executable of the container. That is what the entry point is known as. So now, having explained all the components, if you have any question, let me know. So I think there's no question for now. So moving further, I don't have enough slide to talk. So all what we need to do is to see how we can do all these things in the portal and in our command line. So the first thing we need to do, based on this, is for us to create a container registry using Azure CLI. Now, Azure CLI is a command line tool that enables us to interact with Microsoft Azure, just as I explained before. Before you can use it, the prerequisite for this demo is that you must have an Azure subscription, an active Azure subscription. You must also have your CLI installed on your local system. So I'm going to be dropping a link for you to install Azure CLI if you don't have it already installed. So let me look for the link and drop for us. So you can use it to install that. So then after that, we will just proceed to be able to create the ACR using the command line. We're also going to look at how we can create it using Azure Portal. Then I'm putting the link install Azure CLI using this link. So the link is right there. Now, after that, we're going to see how we can pull the image from official Microsoft repository. It's just going to be an Hello World app, sample app. So we're also going to tag that image, then push it to our container registry repository. Then we also have to enable anonymous access. Why do you need to enable anonymous access? Most times it's not advisable in a production environment, except the organization policy allow that. Going by the fact that Azure Container Registry is a private repository. So when you enable the anonymous access, it means that anybody from the internet can pull image from your Azure Container Registry without having to log in into your container registry. Of course, once you deploy your container registry, you're expected to log into it in order for it to be allowed access to it. So now after that, we're going to see how we can pull image without logging in. Then we have to clean up our resources to avoid incurring charges. So let me quickly jump to the, first of all, we have to make a directory, make a folder, or we can just simply work, but let's make a folder first on our desktop. I like working in a directory. So you can go to desktop, create a folder called demo ACR, section or something like that. Now add this directory to your IDE. If you don't, if you can also work with the Git bash. Now adding it means I have to add it like going to this, select that folder, that directory. This is your project directory. Then click on add. So once you add it, the next thing will be to navigate through the terminal to that directory that you just added, which is this one in my case. So you must make sure that you are directly into the directory, into your project directory, which is this. So the first thing first is for me to log into my Azure. Microsoft Azure has recently modified the way we sign in due to the recent introduction of the multi-factor authentication. So if you are signing in using your CLI, you need to specify the tenant ID that you want to log into. So I have many tenant IDs. So I'm going to switch my directory to the one I want to use for this course. So I just want to show you, I think I've already signed in already. So I just want to show you how to sign in case. Now go to your Microsoft Entra ID, you pick your tenant ID. It is this tenant ID that you can now use you can now come back to your terminal and run the AZ login that specify the tenant ID. And then once you specify the tenant ID, you're going to be prompted by a web browser will open prompting you to sign in. So you can just sign in into your account that you want to use. So this is the tenant I want to sign in. So a web browser is going to open up and allow me access to sign in. So after that, I'm going to return back to my terminal. That must have set my subscription already to number 1. If you look at the asterisk here, that sets it. So I can still enter the number as specified. So so now I'll clear my screen. I've logged in already now. So let's proceed to creating our container registry using Azure CLI. We all understand that if you are familiar with Microsoft Azure has a logical folder known as a resource group. Resource group is where all your resources on Microsoft Azure is stored. So before you create any resource, you must first of all create a resource group. Then for us to do that, we need to use the CLI command that will allow us to create a resource group. And the CLI command is, you don't need to know all the CLI command today. You can go further in learning as you progress. So now you just go to AZ group create. You specify the name flag, and we are going to use ACR resource group as the name of our resource group. Then I need to each resource that you deploy on Microsoft Azure must be deployed into a certain location. You can choose a location. What determines you to choose a location? Depending on where the resource availability is. Some resources are not available in some regions, and also the proximity of your customers, where you are located. Your location also matters. For instance, in Nigeria, we have South Africa region that you can deploy stuff to from Nigeria. We also, in fact, all of us from Africa, we can deploy to South Africa. That is the closest one. You can also deploy to North Europe. You can also deploy to West Europe, which is closer. But for the purpose of this demo class, I'm just going to stick to the East US. You can feel free to choose any other region. So I'm going to enter it. Once you create, the output will give us that the status of it will show that it has been provisioned successfully. Look at it. So if we go to the Azure portal and refresh, you are going to see the resource group. If you go to this place, the list of resource group, you should see that resource group that we just created. So now let's go ahead and deploy our container registry into this resource group. To do that, bring up your command line again. I'm going to clear my screen to avoid to decongest the screen so you can see it clearly. So now I will run the command called every command that is issued using Azure CLI start with AZ. Now you need to call the ACR command. That is the ACR command. Then you have to call the create command, and then specify the resource group that you want to deploy this ACR to. In this case, the resource group we have created before, which is known as the ACR resource group. So specify the name of your ACR. In this case, we are going to just use demo. Mind you, ACR, Azure Container Instance, is a global resources. The name must be unique. It's a global resource. If, for instance, I've taken one name, no other person can create with that same name. So it will throw an error that the name has already been in existence. So you must specify the name that are not in existence already. Now there are pricing tier when it comes to deploying your ACR. The pricing tier simply determine the function and the capacity of your CPU, the capacity of the ACR instance. We have the basic, we have the standard, and we have the premium. Note, you cannot, part of what we are going to do, which is to enable anonymous pool access to our ACR, we cannot do that using the basic SKU. But we are going to create first using the basic SKU. Then I'm going to also show you how to upgrade in case you find yourself in a situation where you have to upgrade it from basic to standard in order to support some advanced functionalities or some advanced activity that you need to perform. So this is the command to create your Azure Container Registry. Once you run this, once you type it, just press the command key, the enter key from your local system, from your system, and it will provision it. It might take a little while, but let's just observe. So now you see what I was saying. It throws an error that this name is already in use. Someone has already used it. So what I'm going to do, I'll change that name to something that is more peculiar to me. Can use anonymous number that I know someone else cannot use that number. And just enter again. So let's hold on. When it's finished, it has started running. So within a short period of time, within minutes, it has created. So we have it created already. So when we go to the portal now and check again, if you refresh this resource group, you're going to see the ACR right inside here. So these are ACR. This is the container registry itself. So within the container registry, I have 10 gig. The basic tier give me the 10 gig. I have not used any. I've not used any. Additional storage is not there. So for all your image, just as we will store our images in a Docker Hub, in a repository in Docker Hub, that is how you can also create a repository within your container in registry to store your image. A repository is created automatically once you push an image. So right now, we do not have any repository right here. So we are going to see how we can log in. First of all, we need to log in. So we can create an image or pull an image and then push it there. So to log in, use the ACR login command. Specify the name of your ACR. In this case, the name of my ACR is demo ACR 8405. That's the name of my ACR. So with this, I can log in. It will report the outcome as login succeeded. So login has been succeeded. You can as well, assuming you have a list of repository, there's a command for you to also check repository lists. How many repositories do you have? You can use the list repository, specify the name of your repository as demo 8405. For my own case, the name of your ACR might be different from here, from what of course, it has to be different because you cannot create the same name. So if they are repository, you are going to see it. What did you say? Oh, sorry, the name, there's a mistake there. So I did put the ACR. There's an ACR flag with the name. So it will bring out an empty command telling us that we signify that there are no currently repository in the ACR. So now let's build let's first of all pull from we have created this thing using the CLI. We are going to come back to this later. Let's finish up with this one. So we're going to pull, tag, and push an image to the ACI we just created. So let's go back to our terminal. So now to do this, there's a Microsoft image which you can pull the hello world. This thing, I'm going to put the link in the chat section. So just run the pull command and you see the link there. Just pasted it there. So now we are going to just pull that image from using the Docker. Remember to issue using Docker command. Docker pull command is what we are using here. So now Docker pull mcr.microsoft.com/hello world is going to pull the latest version of the hello world app. So now it has been pulled into our system. So now what we need to do is to tag this image. We need to tag it to our ACR, to our Azure Container Registry. To tag it, you need to run the Docker tag command, then specify the image in full, just as Microsoft has provided. Hello world /hello world, then tag it to your server, to your login server. If you go to the portal to get your login server, go to the overview page. This is your login server. You copy this URL and come back to your terminal. Is there any question in the chat? No questions so far. Are we understanding, please? Are we following? So now I'm going to tag the image to my login server, which is /hello world version 1. I'm going to tag it as version 1. So it has been tagged now. Now we need to push this image into our container registry. So to push the image, use Docker, normal Docker push command. Docker push, then your image that we are pushing is, the image we are pushing is your demo, that is the login server / the image itself. Remember, we have pulled it already. So you can simply just copy from here instead of typing it again and paste it here to push the image. So the image has been pushed. You're going to get the prompt. If it failed, it will report failure. So if you go back, if you check our portal and refresh this repository, go to repository, refresh this, you're going to see our image right here. So this is the image that we want to build from version 1. This is the tag here. So you can further explore your manifest, the manifest file of your image, and how the pull command URL is right here and all that. So now let's go back to our terminal. The next thing now is we have done this thing. We have done this third step. Now, how do we now enable the anonymous access so that someone who is not in our registry, who has not logged in, can pull this image from our registry? Remember, this is not authorized when it comes to production environment. You have to work closely to your company policy. They want to make anonymous access open. So now let's enable the anonymous access. To enable that, remember, this ACR pricing tier is basic and it cannot go. For instance, when you attempt to upgrade it, to update the SKU without, when you're trying to enable the anonymous access without updating the SKU, you are going to get an error. So if I say ACR AZACR update dash name. Name is demo ACR 8405. Then just put the anonymous access to anonymous access who to enable. Who now will be to enabled to true. I put it to true. It's going to throw an error that I cannot do that. So it has thrown an error showing us that this is not supported for the basic SKU. So we need to update that. We need to upgrade it to standard SKU. To upgrade to standard SKU, the ACR update provide the name of your ACR as demo ACR 8405. Then the SKU, this thing is the standard SKU that I want to go to from here. So standard. So when you press and enter, it will automatically upgrade that. If you go to after everything has been upgraded, if you go to the portal, check the property of your ACR. If you click on the property to show you that it has been upgraded to standard. If you go back to the terminal, you see that it's successful here. So now let's run back our command to enable the anonymous pool access. Now, anonymous pool access is, I've already written the command before, so I'm just going to repeat it. So I will enable it. So once that is done, you can now, on your own end, use Docker pool, then my image, and see that the thing will now pull to your local system. So it is now okay now. I can go back to you can use your local system from your own end and pull this image. You see that you can pull it. So now let's go back to, we have done that. So let's write our Docker file. Let's quickly jump to that. Okay, let's pull it first using a different instance of different things. Remember, one of the criteria which I forgot to tell you all is that you must have a Docker desktop installed. Docker desktop is one of the things that is powering your Docker locally. So now if you don't have it, you cannot do what I'm doing just now. So apologies, I forgot to mention that at the instance, at the starting point. So let's quickly just write pull that image first. I'm going to use PowerShell to pull the image. This one I'm not using my own terminal. I want to use my PowerShell from here to pull that image now. So to pull the image, I will just do Docker pull. That means in this PowerShell, I've not logged in. I've not logged into so I'm assuming I've not logged in. So you need to try and see if you can pull it as an anonymous without you, or to confirm if the anonymous access has been enabled. You can also run a command called scr, then show dash name demo ACR 8405. Then you query the anonymous access. Then run the query command. You make sure that you open you open the double quotation mark to put it anonymous pool enabled. So it will show you that it has been enabled. To show you the status as true. Now let's pull this image using PowerShell. And then I'm going to pull it by Docker pull using the demo SCR8405. I'm going to point it to my server as Azure cr.io/hello world version 1. So the image has been pulled. Is it? So if I do Docker PS or Docker images as the command, I should be able to see the images. I should be able to see this image that I just pulled now. Look at it. The last one here. So that's how you can pull it anonymously. I didn't log in using PowerShell. So now let's go back to quickly before our time will go. In the project folder, right-click it and click on New File. And once you click on New File, name this file as Docker file. I'm going to give you an assignment. You are going to be the one to create the repository, the registry in Azure Portal. We are not going to do that because of our time. So let's quickly write the Docker file that we need to do. We're just going to use a simple official Docker, what's it called? Python image. I can just write my own, use an official Python runtime for this. Runtime as a parent image. So this is where the from command will be defined. From instruction. Now I'm saying from Python version 3.8 Slim. So I have that. So now the next one is to define the work directory. Work directory will be set to set the working directory. I think there's a question. Let me check the chat. Okay. So we are going to do the other one by creating the registry. That's why you say yes, Olu, yeah, right? If I'm right. So you're going to create it. It's not creating using the portal. It's an assignment to you. When you create it, you can tag me on LinkedIn to say I have created it. So now we need to set the working directory to be in the container. Set the working directory in the container, and this will take us to define the work directory. So this simply will provide the paths to the app. Normally, you provide the path to the app. Now we need, the next thing is to define the copy instruction. Provide it current, that is copy current directory content into the container at the app directory, at the /app directory. So now I will just write it. Remember that the copy command is written, look at the way it is written, take note. So that there's a dot after copy. That copy means copy, that dot signifies that it should copy all the files there, should not leave anyone. Then install any needed packages that this application might require. Any needed packages, this will be where we'll define the run command. Install it directly, then I will just specify run. In this case, I'm installing pipe install -- no cache, no cache, yes. No cache -dr. Then I'm simply installing the Flask Panda. Panda is then example of that. So we have specified that. So let's run, let's export let's expose port 80, make it to be public. Port number 80, that is the HTTP port, make it available to the world, or to the world outside the container. That is outside the container, or outside this container. So we just need to just write the expose command. I think I didn't mention it when I was explaining. So the expose command simply will expose the port 80 so that it can be accessible over the public internet. Now let's define the CMD, define the environment variable. So the environment variable will come first before the CMD command. Define the environment variable in this step. Now, environment variable is simply represented as env. The env command in this case is named as world. World. Now let's go to the last but not the least, which is the CMD command or CMD instruction. So define that by saying run app.py when the container launches or starts. When the container launches, so define CMD. Then in this case, bundle those Python packages into it. Python and your app.py. So these are what you need to define at the CMD level. So now you save this thing, save it. Make sure that you save it. So we have all our, now let's quickly build, it's almost our time. Let's quickly build the image, and this will mark the end of this thing, our presentation. So building it, simply use the docker build command. Then you build the image. In this case, use docker build -c. That is the tag. Then this thing we are building from is ACR. Provide the login server of your ACR. So after that, we do Azure CR. Sorry, Azure CR .io/hello world. Then dot. Remember to put that dot there at the end of the day. So it's to build our images, install all the necessary packages that we need, and give us the image, the Docker image that we ever wanted to run our application. So at this point, I will believe that we have gained some level of understanding of what Azure Container Registry is. Because of our time, we won't go further. But at least, as long as Azure Container Registry is concerned, if someone asks you some question about it, you are going to be able to share some. Before we leave, I'm going to put some of the links for you to learn more. The learning does not stop here. Go further to explore the links I'm putting in the chat before the end of this section. So while that is being done, I'm going to paste a link to some of the documentation that you may need. So some documentation you may need are right there in the chat. Feel free to explore them. Also feel free to reach out to me if you need further help and all that. So I'll be willing to assist you. So now let's go back to, okay, I've already put out to install it. So now we can view our data here. If you click here, or if you copy it, just highlight, copy it to your web browser. So we are going to view the dashboard of your Docker. If I go to my own web browser and paste this URL here, it will prompt me to open with my Docker desktop. It will load up the performance of that app, the build timing and everything in a graphical manner. It will show us everything. And if you go further to check the source, you find your Docker file here, right within your Docker desktop app. You can view logs, what happened, the step it takes to finish up. So that is that. So do we have any questions so far? If you have any questions, you're welcome, everybody. And feel free to ask questions as we bring the class to a close. Now I'm bringing, okay, go ahead, Ibi Dagbo, Babatunde. You can speak now, I'm here.
Yeah, please ask your question in the chat box. And
okay. So
yeah.
So now, like I said before, you cannot leave your resources running. Microsoft Azure will be eating up your money. So first of all, let's remove the resources. For you to clean up your Microsoft Azure environment and so as to avoid Microsoft charging you, just use the command from your command line to delete that resource group. AZ group delete, specify the name of your resource group. In our case, our resource group name is ACR resource group. And you can add the flag called no wait. No wait means it won't prompt you, it will just delete it. So once you delete that resource group, all your resources will go away when you have deployed. So it's as simple as that. Few moments from now, you will not see that resource again, could not be found. AC resource group resource. Did I make a mistake in the spelling? ACR. Okay. Ask a question, please. I'm new to Docker and Cube. Please, I need help with how to start. How I have done the installation, but still confused. Okay. So the best place to learn is to use the documentation. You Docker and Kubernetes, they have official documentation that can guide you from A to Z to get started. First of all, you need to go to that Docker documentation page. Let me get that link for you, a button there. Docker documentation, just Google it and you be able to see it. And Kubernetes also have the getting started document that I also started from there. It has everything you need to know about it. So let's go to Docker documentation. This is where to get started. Docker docs. It has everything that you need to know. There are tutorials, there are manual, there are guides here. So while in this place, explore all these tabs to be able to see how to use it, how to get started. So let me drop this link. You can also reach out on individual basis if you need more help. I will be willing to assist you. So now we have the Kubernetes documentation, which you can also get. Kubernetes.io is the website to go to. So from here, you are going to get the starter, say learn Kubernetes basic. If you click here, it takes you, they even have a dedicated training from here where you can train. Courses are here, introduction. So the best place to start is from the official documentation. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Charla, for having me. And I wish you all the best of the best. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.
Thank you so much, Imo. Thanks a lot for taking your time in guiding us. And I'm sure everyone had a great learning experience today. And you can see the chat box. Everyone was saying thanks to you. So yeah, we look forward to have more session with you in the future. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Charla. Bye, everybody. See you all next time. Yeah.
So I am sharing the feedback form. You can fill out that feedback form and you will receive the certificate of participation for today's event. Just give me a second and I'll share the feedback form with you. So I've shared the feedback form. I hope you can see it in the chat box. I have also pinned it. So do fill out the feedback form. Let us know what topics shall we cover in the future and how was the session. If there's anything that we should work on, we would love to take your feedback. And I have pinned it. Yeah. And when you fill the feedback form, you will receive the certificate. So make sure you fill out the correct email ID and so that we can send you the certificate. So the recording for today's session will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, and I'll share the link. Make sure you subscribe it so that you can watch the recording. And if you haven't joined us on Facebook and WhatsApp, then do join us. And let me just share the links. Yeah, so I've shared the links of Facebook group, Discord group. You can join us anywhere on if you haven't joined us on Discord, then do join us on Discord, join our community so that you can stay updated about our upcoming events. Then we do also have our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. The recording will of today's session will be uploaded there. And do follow us on Instagram. This motivates us to bring more such kind of sessions for you. So do follow us there as well. And yeah, thank you so much everyone. Thanks for joining.